Both kids are in bed, so let's talk about what I've been making. Hi everyone, my name's Adriana. I live on the east coast of Canada, and I did a lot of knitting this month. Let's talk about it. Before we start, I'll show you the one knit item that I made that I'm currently wearing, which is these socks. These were the first ever pair of socks I made. They are the Fine Socks by Briggs & Little. The yarn I used was the Briggs & Little Sport Weight yarn in the color Oatmeal. And this was the first project that I made that was not just like a scarf. It required a bit more technique, and I learned a lot through it. I did do one modification. The toe in the pattern, the toe has 3 decrease points in the pattern, and you decrease it to a point. And since doing a few more socks, I realized that I like the wedge shaped toe better. So I found that I wasn't really wearing these socks much because I didn't like the shape of the toe. So a little while ago, I went back and ripped out the toes and reknit them to a wedge shaped toe, which I love. And now I wear them all the time. They're so fun. So I'm going to share with you the things that I completed this month, the projects I completed, and the projects that I am still working on currently, as well as a few things I bought as well. First up, the first thing I completed is this. It is the mini Augustins or Augustins #1 by Augustins, or Augustin, I think is her name. I made this for my daughter. It was her first birthday this month, and I love it. I was inspired to make it from Inga at Knitting Traditions. I saw her make it for her baby, and I loved the lace pattern, and I'd never tried lace before. So I was like, I don't know if this is too big of a project to be like my first lace pattern, but I had so much fun. I did have one kind of frustrating moment. After you finish knitting in the round, you have to knit the lace border, and the language they use in the pattern is you're knitting orthogonally. I'm not sure how to say that, but I did not know what that meant. And everything I looked up on Google, on YouTube, it wasn't helping me on like, how do you knit orthogonally or orthogonally? There was nothing. And I'm like, I don't know how to do this. Finally, I figured out that it is an applied lace edge. That's the language to use if you're looking up like how to do it. Yeah, and then after that, it went pretty smooth. But just that one bit where I didn't know how to do it. I didn't say what yarn I used in this. I used this yarn. It's Isager, I don't know how to say that, Tivini. It's lamb's wool, and it is in the color 19S, which I think was called rhubarb. And I just thought it was such a pretty pink color. My daughter looks really good with this kind of pink. But yeah, I just love the detail in it. I did make some mistakes in some parts of the lace pattern, but I don't really notice it now that it's all done. You know, when you're making it and you see that you made a mistake, and it's just like, you can really focus on it because it's like right there. But once it's done and you're looking at the whole thing, you don't really notice it. But yeah, I love it. This was, I feel like, such an achievement for me. It was my first time knitting lace, as well as my first time reading a chart while I was knitting. I'd never done that before, and I loved it. It was so much fun. So that was the first thing I finished this month. The next things I finished were actually 1, 2, 4 pairs of socks. And these are actually for my family for Christmas. I wanted to make some Christmas socks for me, my husband, and our 2 kids. So this pair is my husband's. And the pattern I used was just one that I made up. I just did a 3x1 rib for the leg. And then I did a slip stitch heel. And then just did the pattern on the top of the foot and stockinette on the bottom. And then just like a wedge toe for the end. I knit this with actually a local yarn from a lady that lives not too far away from me, which it was really special. I wanted kind of like a special yarn to make these Christmas socks because I don't know, it just makes it like extra special then. So this yarn is from sheep that live just up the road from us, and it was spun up, milled. I think it's only 40 minutes away from us, so it's all just happening right here, which I really love. And I'm really proud of these socks because it was the first time that I just made up a pattern, and I think they fit really well. This is what they look like. So that's my husband's pair. And then mine is these ones. Let me get the information. A little bit more about this yarn. So this is what I have left of the yarn. It is 2-ply sport weight, I believe. Yes, 2-ply sport weight. And it's just undyed black. For my socks, I cast on 52 stitches and then did the 3x1 ribbing. For my husband's, I did 56 stitches. And then these ones are for my daughter who just turned 1. And I cast on 32 stitches for these and just did the 3x1 ribbing. They're so cute and little. And then my son, who is 2.5, these are the ones for him. And I cast on 40 stitches for these. I do have all the details in the project notes for each of these on my Ravelry page if you want to see more of the details of like how long I knit things, how much I picked up for the gusset and all that. I have that all in details. But yeah, I'm really happy with how they turned out. And I love this yarn. It's rustic, but it's not like uncomfortable feeling. It's really nice. And especially once I washed it, it softened up really nicely. So I'll definitely be using that yarn again for sure. Then I made a pair of mittens for my son. And this was just like a project that I just needed something quick. And I think it was like in between doing all these socks. And I was like, I don't want to look at another sock. I don't want to look at dark yarn. So I just decided to do these. And these are made with, I held together the Briggs & Little Tuffy yarn. And it is the color 92. I'm not sure what, Blue Mix. Blue Mix is what it's called. This is a 2-ply, 80% pure wool, 20% nylon. And I believe it's Aran weight. It's pretty thick. But then I also held it with a strand of this, which is, I don't think I said the name of what this yarn was. This yarn is, it's local, but it's called Old School Acres. That's what her name is, Old School Acres. So this is also from Old School Acres, and it is another sport weight, 2-ply undyed white. So I held them together, and it was very thick. I just used the Tin Can Knits World's Simplest Mittens pattern for, I think, just like the toddler one. And to be honest, I wasn't totally happy with how the marling turned out. I like how it looks on the cuffs, but then in the actual mitt part, it just, I don't know, it's just very like splotchy kind of, like it's not a nice mix, I don't think. So I'm not sure that I love the way they look in the end. Also, I had trouble with doing like trying to fill in this little hole at the base of the thumb. I did okay on the second mitt, but on the first mitt, it was just like I would kind of tie the hole up, but then there'd be a hole somewhere else. Like I tied it too tight or something. And now it's kind of unraveling. So I don't know if anyone has a suggestion on how to stop this from happening, or like how to eliminate the hole that happens at the base of the thumb, please let me know. And the last thing I finished this month is this. It is a Laulu shawl. Let me just make sure that's right. Yeah, the Laulu shawl by Sari Nordland. I saw this in a knee knits video. I believe it was her video of gift knit ideas, and I saw it and I instantly fell in love with it. I was like, oh, this is so beautiful. What made me fall in love with it actually was the picture of Sari Nordland wearing it like over her head and then tied around the back. I thought it just looked so, I don't know, cozy and perfect for these types of days where it's like it's lightly snowing outside, it's cold, but it's not like frigid, you know? Another thing that made me want to make it is the fact that it's designed to use just one ball of mohair. When my grandmother passed away 10 years ago, she was a very avid knitter, and I recently was able to get some of her yarn that she hadn't used, and in that set of yarn that I got was a few balls of mohair. I've never used mohair before, and they were all just like single skeins of it, like no, it wasn't like a whole batch of the same color or something. It was all just one-off single colors, and I didn't know what to do with it because I didn't know of any patterns that just use one skein, and I wanted to do something special with it, right? You don't want to like yarn, special yarn like that. You want to, I don't know, not just like make something just to make something. You want to make something that you really love. And so when I saw that this shawl was designed to use just one ball of mohair, I was like, okay, I'm gonna figure this out. I'm going to use one of these balls of mohair, and that'll be my first mohair project. So I had one ball of, this is all I have left. This is the Rowan Kid Silk Haze in the color, the name is Jacob, but the color number is 631, which is discontinued. I mean, it's over 10 years old. So it's discontinued, and I was so stressed in the first half of this project because the Rowan Kid Silk Haze meterage is different from, I think Sari Nordland used the Knitting for Olive mohair. The meterage is less in the Rowan Kid Silk Haze than the Knitting for Olive one. And so I was like, I don't think I'm gonna have enough. Plus, I used a larger needle size because the yarn I held it with it's a fingering weight, but it's a thick fingering weight. This is again from my local yarn lady who, her name is Old School Acres, and this is another undyed. This one's brown and it's 2-ply fingering weight, but it is a thick fingering weight. I have some of the Knitting for Olive merino, and this is definitely thicker than that. So I did use a whole half of a needle size larger than what the pattern called for, and I thought I'll just knit until I'm halfway done the mohair, and then I'll start decreases. this pattern. This pattern was challenging for me. This one was my first lace one. This one has some elements of lace and it has some cables, which I've done cables before. But the thing with this pattern was that it was not easy to memorize. I could, in the past with the patterns I've followed, you know, you do a couple rounds and then you either memorize it or you can read the stitches and know what comes next, kind of. This was not a pattern like that for me. I could not figure out on the wrong side rows, I could usually figure it out, but on the right side rows, no. So I had to look at the lace chart, or the, not lace chart, just the chart the whole time, and then just cross off after each row that I finished, which it was actually really fun. I was frustrated in the beginning because I wasn't getting it. And I was a little bit scared to read the chart, actually. So I just was reading. She has like the just written out version as well. I was trying to follow that one. But that, once you get past like, I don't know, 20 stitches or something, it's so hard to like read one point and then go back and knit it and then try and find where you were in the writing. So I was getting quite frustrated. And I was almost like, do I just rip this out and just not do it? But I was like, you know what? I'm going to try reading the chart. I was intimidated by the chart. I know I did a chart with this, but I was intimidated with the chart because it was so big and there were so many symbols. The chart for this was not, they were small charts and the symbols were few. There were lots of symbols and the chart was big and there was like repeats within the chart. I was intimidated. But once I figured it out, it was actually really fun and I really enjoyed it. So yes, my idea was to just knit until the halfway point in my ball of mohair and then start decreases. However, because the pattern was kind of confusing for me on like, I wouldn't know kind of how to start the decreases unless I got actually to the halfway point in the pattern. And I wasn't sure I was going to get there. Actually, I was confident I wasn't going to get there because I had less meterage and used a larger needle size than the pattern called for. And so I was stressing. Like, how am I going to start decreases and make it look nice? I didn't know. But somehow I was able to knit the full pattern and have this much left over. Definitely, I've heard people say that Yarn Chicken is such a good motivator for you to get a lot of knitting done. I definitely found that with this. I knit the first half of this so quickly. And then once I got to the halfway point and realized I would have enough yarn to finish it, I left it, I think, for 2 days and didn't touch it because I was just like, oh, I'm so relieved. But yeah, it was a really fun knit. I did make some mistakes and it sucks that one of the mistakes is like right at the tip. So it's like one that you'll see. I just did one of my cables the wrong way. But I love it. It was, yeah, my first time using mohair. I've done shawls before, but not ever like a little mini shawl like this. So yeah, I haven't used it yet, but it's nice and soft. I have like tried it on around my face and it doesn't seem to be super scratchy or anything, which is nice. And yeah, I'm just glad I got to use some of my grandmother's yarn for something that I think is so pretty and something that I hope will give me a lot of warmth throughout the winter when I'm outside. I think that's everything I finished in November. Let's move on to the things I'm working on. One thing I have been working on for a year, it's been a year, is a blanket for my son. I picked out this yarn, which is Cascade Yarns 100% Peruvian Highland wool. And I think it's their bulky weight one. 250 grams is 478 yards. So I think I got 5 of these. Yeah, I got 5 of these. And what I did was, this was like at the beginning of my re-entry into knitting and like more seriously knitting. And what I wanted was a blanket that would be like long enough to cover your whole body. So like, I don't know, 5.5, 6 feet long. And I wanted it to be in this seed stitch pattern. And what I did was I just made up this pattern. I tested on a few different needle sizes. I guess I kind of did swatches of like if I liked the look of the seed stitch on smaller needles or bigger needles, and I ended up going with 5mm needles. And what I did was, on the first panel, I'm going to make 3 panels. On the first panel, I made it twice as wide as this one, and then I just knit through 2 balls of this yarn. I knit through 2 full ones, and it's very long. Then this one is going to be the middle panel, and it is just going to be 1 ball of it. So it's half the stitch amount of the first panel. And then after I'm done this, I'll do another wider panel that will go on the end. And I have left enough yarn, I hope, to seam up the in between the panels. This is just, it's so funny because this was the thing I started when I got back into knitting. And at that point, I had only done scarves. I had tried knitting a sweater once, knitting it flat and like in pieces and trying to put it together. I don't even think I got past like knitting the body. Like, it just didn't happen. So this was the first thing that I was making that like wasn't a scarf. I didn't really know how to like follow patterns, and so I just made this one up. And now a year later, I'm like, I've followed a whole bunch of patterns. I know a whole bunch of different techniques. I'm still, obviously, I have a lot more to learn, but it's so fun to like think back on the time when I was first starting this and like how much knowledge I've gained. Or even, so here's the first panel. And the first panel, my gauge was super loose at the beginning. Oh yeah, you can see here. It's like, it's quite loose at the beginning, so it kind of flares out. And I was like, this is garbage. It looks awful. And I don't know how to fix it, so it's just gonna look like that. But I think I'm confident enough that I could rip out. So this was actually like the beginning of this blanket. I think I could rip out to like, I don't know, maybe this point, and then re-knit this in like the gauge that like a bit tighter. Now that I'm more consistent with my knitting. I'm confident that I could do this, but not confident enough to try it this month. So yeah, this is the first panel. So there will be 2 of these and then 1 of these. I am over halfway done the length of this, but this goes by slow because it is just like knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl. Sometimes I get bored, I guess. I have found it really motivating to put like a little progress tracker, progress keeper, and see like how much I knit in a day or something, or a couple days. But it is still kind of slow. Originally, when I started this blanket, I think I started it in November last year. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna knit a blanket for my son for Christmas. A like 7-foot by 4-foot blanket in a month as a kind of new knitter. And when Christmas came and went, I was like, yeah, I'm going to make it for his birthday, which is in May. No, I'm still working on it a year later. I'm hoping I can get it done for his birthday this year in May. But I don't know. So that is the one thing that I'm consistently kind of coming back to in between projects. The other thing is a sweater. I said that I tried doing a sweater when I was younger, like a knit flat sweater, which I didn't even get past the first panel of whatever I was making. This is the Wednesday sweater by Petite Knit. This is what I have so far. I started making this, I think in the new year, like at the beginning of 2023. And as you can see, I'm not finished. And there's a few things that are kind of disappointing or like not keeping me motivated to finish this. And the biggest thing is the yarn that I chose. I chose the Briggs & Little, I think it's their Atlantic yarn. It's like, it's a really thick yarn. And I think this is the color medium gray or dark gray. I'm pretty upset because I made sure that I got the same dye lot. I think I had to get 9 or 10 balls of it. And I got the same dye lot, same color, same dye lot. Me and the lady at the store checked. Everything was the same. I'm home, I'm knitting, I'm having a good time. I knit the body. I hold it up. This is 2 different colors. This is 2 different colors, right? Actually, no, it's 3 different colors. This is like, from what I'm seeing, the top is like a medium gray. Then there's a stripe of light gray. And then the rest is like a dark gray. It is the same dye lot. I don't know what happened. So after that, I was like, well, I didn't want a striped sweater. I wanted just a 1 color sweater. So that has been keeping me from working on this because I'm not excited to finish it because I'm like, I'm not going to wear it. I know I'm not going to wear it. So I don't know what to do. I thought of, part of me was like, maybe once I block it, like in the blocking process, it'll kind of like, the dye will come loose and like even out the light and dark bits and it'll look better. But who am I kidding? These are 3 different colors. So then I thought maybe I'll like over dye it. I could try that. But I don't know. I don't know if I'm up for that challenge right now. All I have left to do is the neck and another sleeve. And I did have a good time with this. Like knitting it, I learned so many techniques. I did twisted rib for the first time. I did Italian bind off. Is that what it's called? Where it's like a tubular bind off. I did that for the first time. So like I'm learning a lot and the techniques are really fun for me. I love the look of this sweater. It's just that it's 3 different colors. Also, this yarn is so heavy. Like this sweater, it's heavy. I'm hoping that it'll kind of like soften up a bit because it's pretty stiff now too. Like I feel like it could almost stand up on its own if you hold it the right way. I'm hoping that it'll kind of soften up once I block it and maybe that'll help. But I don't know. When I started knitting this, I didn't know about like how to choose what size you are for a knitting pattern. So I was just like, I'm just going to knit a couple sizes bigger than what my normal size would be because I wanted it to be oversized. However, this sweater is designed to be oversized, so you don't have to size up. So I think I'm knitting an extra large when I should be knitting a medium or a large. So yeah, it's quite oversized. Also at the time, I didn't know that wool could grow once you block it. So again, it's big now. It's going to get bigger. I don't know. All of that together is making me not want to work on it. But looking at it now, I'm like, wow, this looks so nice. Like, what a nice cuff. Also, because it is so oversized, I was just knitting to like the pattern recommended length for the arm, which, yeah, for someone who this is their proper size, this is the proper length of the arm. But on me, the like shoulder goes out to here, right? Like there's the neck. So the arm it's too long. The arm's too long. Like my hand is covered. So either I just have like super long sleeves and I could roll them up, I guess. Or I could rip all this back, take out a few inches, and then reknit the cuff. Or I was thinking, since I'm not excited about this sweater anyway, and I honestly don't think I'll wear it if I can't figure out how to make this one color. I don't think I'm going to wear it. I was thinking this could be a good opportunity for me to try some sweater surgery, and I could put a lifeline in a couple places and then like remove a couple inches of fabric and then stitch the two pieces back together. Since I'm like, this is my like learning techniques sweater, I guess, I could use this as like a learning opportunity. I'm undecided. I think what I'll do next is knit the neck, see how I feel after I knit the neck. And then before I do the sleeve, I guess I should decide if I want to knit it actually to like the length that fits my arm, or if I want to knit it to match this sleeve. And it's just super long. I don't know. But yeah, if you have any suggestions on how to make this one color, either over dye it or I don't know. I really don't know. It's just, I'm not excited to work on it. I think it would have been done for like a long time ago if it had all been the same color. But it's not. Oh well. That's everything that I'm currently working on. I'm hoping to try another sweater. I am a little bit like nervous to try another sweater because I did that one like, I don't know, 15 years ago. And then I obviously didn't finish it. This one I'm working on now is not going well. And so I'm nervous to try another one. Like maybe sweaters are just cursed for me. I really want to knit the Arctic Light sweater by Kutuvakika. But I am nervous because of my track record with sweaters. I don't know, we don't get along. But yeah, I also have a few acquisitions for this month, a few books and some yarn. I got a few skeins of the Briggs & Little Regal yarn, which is a 2-ply, I think it's DK weight. It's bleached white, this color. And I got a few skeins of this because with this project, I don't know what happened, but my yarn calculations were way off and I ordered double the amount of yarn that I actually needed for this. So I have a ton of this left. And I thought it might be cute to hold these two together and make some accessories and maybe a sweater or something for my daughter. But seeing how I didn't love how this marling turned out on these mittens, I'm not sure if I'm excited to try marling again because I don't want it to look splotchy. I want it to look marled. So I don't know. But yeah, I got, I think 4 of these. It was on sale. Also with this brand, Briggs & Little, I know it's like a beloved Canadian yarn brand. It's 100% Canadian wool. It's milled in Canada. Everything is in Canada, which I love. I love that. But because I've had a bad experience with the dye lots being inconsistent and like clearly different colors, I don't know. I'm not super excited to work with this yarn again. I'll give it another chance, but I don't know if I'm still having issues with the colors. I don't know if I want to invest that much time in a project if it's not going to turn out the way I want. I also got a few books. I got the Vogue Knitting Lace book. After I knit the mini Augustins lace blanket for my daughter, I was like, I want to try more lace for sure. So I got this. I have the Vogue. I have a couple of Vogue knitting books, but this is mostly for like inspiration. Yeah, that pattern really made me fall in love with lace. So I'm excited to try a few more lace things. I also got just this Vogue Knitting, the Learn to Knit book with just like the basics of knitting. I often go to YouTube to remind myself of like, if there's like a particular stitch that, or like a particular technique in a pattern, I go to YouTube to like watch someone do it. That's the way I learn best. But I thought it would be good to have like a hard copy resource of that. And then the last thing I got is the Knitting for Olive pattern book. I am so excited about this. There's a lot of patterns in here that I want to try. Specifically the Barbaro blouse. Right here. The Barbaro blouse. Oh, I just think that pattern is so pretty. And then it's more just like, I don't know, the vibes, I guess. I love the aesthetic here. I'm also really excited to knit, what's it called? The Darling wrap. This is what it looks like. Not exactly something that like I would buy in a store, but I don't know, something in me is like, I want to knit that. So yeah, I've had fun flipping through that, getting inspired, thinking about what I'm going to knit for the winter season. Yeah. So yeah, that is everything I have to share with you for this month. Have a wonderful Christmas, and I will see you next time. Bye.